Ever wondered why some plants flourish in your garden while others whimper and wither away? It's a conundrum that has puzzled many a green thumb. You water them, nurture them, and give them all the love they need, yet some plants thrive and others don't. Is there a secret ingredient you're missing? Or is there a mystery yet to unravel? The answer lies not just in your green thumb but in your garden's climate zone. So, what exactly are these climate zones? Well, just as the name suggests, climate zones are regions of the world that share similar weather conditions. Picture a global jigsaw puzzle where each piece represents a distinct climate zone. Each of these zones is characterized by its unique range of temperatures, rainfall patterns, and seasonal changes. Now you might wonder, why are these zones so important, especially for us gardeners? The answer lies in the intricate relationship between plants and their environment. Just like animals, plants have evolved to survive and thrive in specific conditions, with some favoring the Arctic chill while others bask in tropical heat. Take the Arctic willow, for instance, a hardy shrub that thrives in the tundra's biting cold. Contrast that with the coconut palm, a tropical staple that enjoys basking in the sun, sand, and high humidity. Both plants are masters of their domains, but swap their locations, and they'll struggle to survive. So when it comes to gardening, understanding these climate zones can be a game changer. It's all about matching the right plants with the right climate. It's akin to a matchmaking process where you're looking for the perfect home for your plants. Let's take a moment to consider the various types of climate zones. There's the tropical zone, characterized by hot temperatures year-round. Then, we have the arid zones, where rainfall is scarce, and temperatures can swing dramatically between day and night. The temperate zones experience moderate rainfall and distinct seasons, while the polar zones are marked by extremely cold temperatures and heavy snow. Each of these zones hosts a unique array of plant species, adapted to weather the particular challenges of their environment. From the lush, leafy vegetation of the tropics, to the hardy, resilient flora of the arid deserts, and from the colorful blossoms of the temperate zones to the low-growing shrubs of the tundra, each climate zone paints a different picture of plant life. By understanding the climate zone of your garden, you can make informed decisions about what to plant. You'll know which plants are more likely to thrive and which ones might struggle. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about having a green thumb, but also about having the right knowledge. Knowing your climate zone is the first step towards a thriving garden. So, are you ready to uncover the secret to a flourishing garden? Stay tuned as we dive deeper into identifying your garden's climate zone. Now, how can you determine your garden's climate zone? A question that many gardeners grapple with, but the answer isn't as elusive as it may seem. Identifying your garden's climate zone is a blend of observation and research, a fusion of science and nature. Start by considering the most significant player in the climate game: temperature. The average annual extreme minimum temperature over a 30-year period is the primary determinant of your climate zone. This factor can tell you a lot about what plants will survive and thrive in your garden. For instance, a plant that loves the heat won't fare well in an area that regularly dips below freezing. Next, let's talk about precipitation. This is the average amount of rainfall or snowfall your region receives annually. Some plants need a lot of water while others prefer dry conditions. Understanding your area's precipitation patterns will help you choose plants that can handle your local weather conditions. Lastly, don't forget altitude. The higher your garden is above sea level, the cooler and windier it can be. High-altitude gardens may require hardier plants or additional measures to protect plants from harsh conditions. But how do you find all this information? Fortunately, there are several online tools and resources that make this process easy. Websites like the United States Department of Agriculture and the National Gardening Association provide interactive maps that allow you to input your location and get detailed climate zone information. Remember though that these are just guidelines. Microclimates, small areas within your garden that have different conditions than the overall climate, can also exist. These might be caused by factors such as shade from buildings or the heat reflected off a wall. So, while the general climate zone information is a great starting point, always observe your garden closely for these unique conditions. With this knowledge, you can now make informed decisions about what to plant in your garden. No more guesswork, no more heartbreak over a plant that just won't thrive. You're now equipped with the tools to create a garden that's not just surviving but flourishing in your unique climate zone. So, you've identified your climate zone. Now, how do you choose the right plants? Choosing plants that are suitable for your specific climate zone can feel like navigating an intricate maze. But don't worry, Here are some practical tips that will guide your journey. Firstly, let's talk about plant tags. These are not just mere labels but are treasure troves of information. They tell you about the plant's sunlight needs, watering requirements, and most importantly, the climate zones they thrive in. So, the next time you're shopping for plants, take a moment to read the plant tags. They'll help you choose plants that will flourish in your garden. Secondly, consider consulting your local nurseries. These establishments are like the libraries of the plant world. They've got a wealth of knowledge about what grows best in your area. Remember, they want you to succeed just as much as you do. They'll be more than happy to guide you in your plant selection process. Next, observe your neighboring gardens. There's a saying that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, and it holds true in the world of gardening. Look around your neighborhood. What plants are thriving? What trees are flourishing? These are the plants that are well adapted to your climate zone. They've passed the test of your local weather and soil conditions, and they can be valuable additions to your garden. But remember, choosing the right plants for your climate zone is not just about what will survive, but also about what you love. Your garden should be a reflection of you, so don't be afraid to experiment, to learn, and to grow along with your garden. Ultimately, the joy of gardening comes not from a perfect garden, but from the process of creating it. It's about understanding your garden's unique needs, about nurturing your plants, and about celebrating their growth. Remember, the right plant in the right place is a recipe for success. Don't just take our word for it, hear it from the experts. Gardening, like any other craft, thrives on shared wisdom and expertise. A plethora of gardeners and horticulturists have spent years, even decades, learning the intricate dance of plants and climate. Their insights can shed light on the path to a flourishing garden, tailored to your specific climate zone. Renowned horticulturist, Dr. Green Thumbs emphasizes the importance of adaptation. He says, "Gardening is not a one-size-fits-all practice. It's about understanding the climate you're working with and adapting your techniques accordingly. Gardening in a tropical climate is vastly different from gardening in a temperate one. Each has its own set of rules." This sentiment is echoed by experienced gardener Miss Petal Whisperer, who highlights the significance of continual learning. "Gardening is a journey of discovery," she shares. "Each season brings new lessons. What works one year may not work the next. It's important to stay observant and flexible, adjusting your gardening practices based on the patterns you see in your climate zone." Master Gardener, Mr. Leafy Wisdom, adds a note on plant selection. "Choosing the right plants for your climate zone is half the battle won. Native plants are a safe bet as they have evolved to thrive in your specific climate. But don't be afraid to experiment. Some non-native species can also adapt and flourish if given the right care." Lastly, Professor Blossom Sage, a leading botanist, reminds us of the larger picture. Gardening is a symbiotic relationship with nature. By understanding your climate zone and adapting your practices, you're not just nurturing your garden, but also contributing to the health of your local ecosystem. It's a win-win. As you can see, understanding your climate zone can significantly improve your gardening success. It's not about battling against the elements, but rather learning to dance with them. By taking into account expert insights and continually learning and adapting, you can transform your garden into a thriving oasis no matter your climate zone. Now that you've got the knowledge, it's time to put it into action. No more scratching your head, wondering why that rose bush refuses to bloom, or why your tomato plants are looking a little under the weather. You've got the tools to understand why, and more importantly, what you can do about it. Think of your garden as a blank canvas, waiting to be transformed into a riot of color, a symphony of scents, a cornucopia of flavors. You now have the know-how to create a garden that doesn't just survive but thrives. You can choose plants that are perfectly suited to your climate zone, plants that will flourish and bring joy not just to you, but to the birds, bees, and butterflies that visit your garden. Remember, gardening isn't a one-size-fits-all activity. It's about understanding the unique characteristics of your garden, its climate zone, its soil, its exposure to sun and wind, and making choices that work with these characteristics, not against them. It's about nurturing a little piece of nature in your own backyard, creating a space that's not just beautiful but also sustainable and resilient. Imagine stepping out into your garden a year from now, seeing plants that are lush, healthy, and vibrant, knowing that you helped them get that way. That's the power of understanding your garden's climate zone. So, say goodbye to guesswork and hello to a thriving garden. Start today and embrace your garden's climate zone.